Oh, this game's subtle. Now, I have you know, I don't know jack shit about this series. All I know is that Persona 3 has a really killer OST that I listened to without ever having played it. I want to, but I got an OCD and I can't just jump right into P3, so I started here at Shin Megami Tensei. Now, if a game is scary, I'm always jittery. The aesthetic of video game horror affects me the best. Give me any Chucky movie or Evil Dead, Mike Myers, and I can get through that stuff while eating dinner. Easy, it's whatever's to me. But sit me in front of a horror game with the eerie music and the control, and I just fall apart. I didn't expect to feel that way when going into this. It got me by surprise. I felt scared from the very first frame, and that is awesome. Later on, they give you the little nondescript room with the nice mom at the beginning with the cheesy music to lure you back into a sense of security, but I wasn't having that shit because I was fucking spooked. Now, I got exactly this far in my Japanese playthrough before I switched back to English. Actually, I got a tad bit farther, but I want to point something out at this moment. After the opening dream sequence where you name your characters and stuff and you wake up in this room, now, I couldn't tell where I was and I actually assumed I was at work. I thought I was at work. I mean, look at this computer. Later, when I was searching for an English translation, I came across some footage of the iOS version of the game, and the room goes from this to this. Now, I'm not saying that the Super Nintendo was an all-powerful machine capable of amazing graphics, but come on, they could have tried a bit harder to really sell my room of all things. Like, what person literally just has a computer and that's it? What the fuck? With that being said, looking at the image of the iOS room feels sort of wrong. I've never played this game before, but I feel like the feeling was different. It doesn't feel eerie, it's not empty, and that's the feeling that Shin Megami Tensei delivers to you the entire time, giving you this sense of impending nothingness. I'm absolutely sure this was not intentional. I'm sure if they could, they would make the locations a bit more interesting to look at. But who wants to add detail to all these sets when you have your design team working on all of these? These character designs are beautiful. I love running into the next dungeon because I honestly can't wait to see the virtuoso pixel art. I mean, look at the biddies. It ain't hard to figure out exactly why this wasn't released here in a good old US of A where Jesus Christ and sin rules us all. But besides, from the good old 16-bit porn stash, Shin Megami Tensei deals heavily with religious themes. Every other character is talking about God this or Satan that or will you join the war on demons? Hi, I'm Thor from a whole different pantheon, but whatever, it's fine. It gets kind of heavy after a while, and I'm sure whatever US team saw this on an import table was like,
I'm not touching that with a 60-foot pole. Next caller.
One of the more satisfying locations in this game has to be the mansion. The second I stepped through this door, I was legit in heaven. Do you hear this evil music? Do you see this creepy old guy with the dress? Fuse my demons? You mean I can take control of these things and fuse them? Starting to think Digimon was more of a ripoff of this shit than Pokemon ever was. No, I actually love Digimon, don't get the wrong idea. But immediately after setting foot in here, I went back out into the world to try talking to these demons. Before this point, I tried talking to them, but nothing ever happened. It just seemed more like a waste of time before an inevitable battle would start. But this time, I make it different. This time I make a demon be my slave, even if it took a million save states and arduous abuse of the rewind setting in my emulator. Which brings me to the translation team. This is where they really start to shine. What these things are programmed to say is absolute comedy. I swore on my mom that every female demon can eventually become your minion if you start off your conversation on the threatening path. I mean, look at this screenshot. I literally tried my best to recruit him, but all he wanted to do was drag me to hell. Poor little demonic pumper. But honestly, all these demons are constantly shit-talking and berating you. This is probably the only thing about the game that felt a little uninspired. I love that the demons are using every trick in the book to get me to feel bad about myself, but while the dialogue in the story is amazing and believable and actually about 30% heartfelt, you don't spend the majority of your time talking to these characters that advance the plot. Instead, you spend the majority talking to these demons, and what they have to say is actually really entertaining. But after a while, the things they say get awfully repetitive. I'm sure this is to condition the player so they can learn the speech of the demons and more accurately prepare for the response they want to give, which will most likely end up in you being attacked anyways. But I can't help but feel that there could have been more options while knowing exactly the reason why there aren't any passive ones that are present. It's all essentially random, and I'm sure that adding even one more dialogue option to this system would equate into lines of additional code per demon who uses the line. So I'll give it to the devs on that one. A few hours into my playthrough, I tried summoning a new demon recruit to my team. Turns out my alignment wasn't correct. So I do some quick searching, and it turns out that most decisions you make bends the main character slightly more towards law or chaos. Guess I should have paid more attention to that opening dream. But yeah, from the story decisions down to the demons that you slaughter by the thousands on the streets of Tokyo, everything affects your playthrough of the game. For those of you who have never played this, you want to stay as neutral as possible. Not only can you summon whatever minion you want while neutral, it's also the only canon ending in the entire franchise. Oh yeah, this game has multiple endings. Who knew what I was getting into? Also, don't put points into magic for your main character. He doesn't have magic. Like at all. I wish the game would have warned me or something so I wouldn't waste 9 points buffing my magic stat, but what am I going to do? Be a whiny little sack of shit min-maxer and restart? I have too much pride for that. Let that serve as a testament to this game's style. It is very trial by fire. You'll either get it or not. The spawn rate for demons to attack you is absolutely insane, and pairing that with save locations that are so goddamn always impossibly far away. I'm actually glad I'm playing this on my emulator and not a legit system. Save states for the win. Anyways, music, fucking great. Eerie, but energetic. I mean, listen to this bass line. I have this habit of listening to the OSTs of whatever I'm playing in my daily life, or as a soundtrack to my Trash League games in Bronze Tier. Follow me on Twitch, guys. We play D&D too. But anyways, a couple of quick searches for the soundtrack led me to some of the other great renditions of the music from later revisions or whatever. Can't tell because I haven't played them myself, but these upgraded versions might be great if you can't listen to Super Nintendo style music for a while. Me, I practically live off this shit by now, so both versions are great. Only problem is that once you get about 2 to 3 hours in, you've pretty much heard 90% of the soundtrack, and while I personally never grow tired of it, I can see how others might. I mean, even I would prefer a bit more variety, but ultimately I'm happy with how this is vibrating my ossicles. And finally, I want to talk about the actual battles. There is nothing in this game that even attempts to explain what the hell is going on, ever. No explanation of spells and their effects. I know there's fire type spells and electric type spells, but I think this is sound? Like, I have no idea. There's no explanation of what items do what. I mean, usually items have description boxes in other games. Like, is this a permanent buff or temporary? What the hell do I do with Soma? I found myself having to use items the second I get them just to see what they did. No explanation of the demon type system either. The only reason I know there's a type system to begin with is because enough of the demons were similarly named too often to be a coincidence. And this is the worst offender because I know for a fact that the types have tons of influence on the outcome of what happens with fusions at the mansion. A lot of this stuff is trial and error, which isn't bad per se. It's fun trying to figure this stuff out and not get a slime as I go along, but a couple of clues here and there would have been nice, you know? While saying all of this, I must remember that Shin Megami Tensei was made in a different time, when video games on a console were still in this toddler-like state, not knowing how to present themselves perfectly. But more importantly, the people who played them wanted to be challenged. And this lack of information, I feel, is a part of that old school challenge, you know, that old school aesthetic. So I appreciate that I'm getting the same sort of treatment from a game made the same year I was born. Is it weird to have nostalgia for something that you've never experienced before? Because I'm feeling a little bit of that right now. So there you have it. That's my honest review of Shin Megami Tensei for the Super Nintendo. as translated by the Aeon Genesis team. And if you're a fan of older video games, especially RPGs like myself, I think you should give this one a shot because it's long, hard, and slightly repetitive. Innuendos. Nice.